I'm crazy, but now I found you. Now I'm so damn crazy about you. Love keeps me stupid, keeps me alive. Yeah, I like the pain, the feel of fire. Now I know it's hard, you wanna fly, and it's harder when your hands are tied up. Girl, trust that my love is here to make you come undone. Ooh, lady, I adore you. Got to let you go to ever get you back. Lady, why is it so hard? Gotta push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, yeah. Push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, yeah. Push and pull, push and pull, yeah. Push and pull, yeah. Lady, I adore you. Gotta let you go and get you back. Lady, why is it so hard? Gotta push and pull, push and pull, push, 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 push and pull. Ooh, lady, I adore you. Got to let you go to ever get you back. Why, lady, why is it so hard? Gotta push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, yeah. Push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, yeah. Push and pull, push and pull, yeah. Push and pull.
Yeah, don't be in front of my face.
Yeah, make sure you stand to the side. My guest. Make sure you look at the right chair, my guest, okay?
Okay. Take that off. Here we go. Uh-huh.
Okay, she's ready, Eddie. Heads up. All right, anytime you're ready. Here we go.
Hi, Divorce Court family. Welcome to our channel. You see, I'm still getting it together. Can you believe that Divorce Court has been on the air for 25 seasons? Well, we knew we had to do something to celebrate that milestone, and what better way to do that than to bring you along for the ride. Okay, we all ready? We're going to be live streaming today's episode, and you're going to see it as it happens. The suspense, the tears, the drama, and some exclusive behind-the-scenes moment. Are you ready? Because here we go. Nicole, am I good?
Let them know when you're good, John. All right, my guest, continue looking.
Lauren, do I need lips? All right, Elijah, we good with the hair?
We good, right?
Okay.
Just start, can you please put your, thank you very much.
All right. Have a good show, everybody.
All right, you too. All right, quiet all around, everyone. Coming to you, Star, in 5, 4, 3, 2.
There's a saying, love cannot live where there is no trust. On today's case, Mr. Fletcher says that his very tumultuous 8-year marriage to Mrs. Fletcher has neither. Even so, Mr. Fletcher says he would now like to let go of the toxicity, set a good example for his children, and ride into the sunset with his woman. There's just one thing holding him back: the paternity of his 2-year-old daughter, Ariana. Will today's DNA results be the reset button this marriage needs? Or will the wrong result be the end of the Fletcher's relationship? Let's hear their case.
All right, great job.
That works? Let's do it.
Right this way.
Okay. Let's do this. Here you go, Nicole. Let me step out. All right, so we change into the robe. Hold the sleeves. Got it? All right, let's make sure the collar looks right.
Collar's great.
Cool in the gang. Let's give us this pin. All right, let's close this. Let's fix that collar. Pull these sleeves out. We're good. Lauren?
Yeah, I'm right here. What you need? Good?
Last look. Cool. Hey, Rob.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's rock.
Let's do it.
I got you.
Jay.
All right,
We ready?
showtime, everyone.
Make sure that, ooh, nothing on the T.
All good.
Okay. All right, Eddie, we're all set to go. All right, showtime, everyone. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Starr presiding. Your Honor, this is the case of Fletcher versus Fletcher.
Thank you very much. Mr. Fletcher, Mrs. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher, you are here today because the emotional labor in your relationship has been too much to bear. You say the state of your marriage hinges on the results of the DNA test of your 2-year-old daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mrs. Fletcher, you're here today because your marriage is on its last leg. You say the mistrust and the lack of affection has left you bitter. You want to prove the paternity of your daughter and try to repair your marriage.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Fletcher, you all have been together quite some time to be in your late 20s. Mr. Fletcher, what brings us into divorce court today?
Well, what brings me here today is because I want to be like Jay-Z and Beyonce, drunk in love. I don't want to be in a toxic relationship. And on top of that, I want to make sure my kids grow up in a nice home and respected. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have them growing up in a toxic situation and not seeing their mother being loved correctly.
So you're trying to provide the proper environment for your children to grow up in, and you want a happy house.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me go on over here to Mrs. Fletcher. You heard what Mr. Fletcher said. Mrs. Fletcher, what do you say?
Honestly, Your Honor, I feel like I should not be here today. This is the second time that I've been brought to do a DNA test on one of my children.
Really?
Yes, it is, and I'm very pissed about it. And it's crazy to me that he could believe everybody else and can't believe me. And we've been together for a very long time.
Well, you know, it's so interesting. The first thing I thought of when I heard you say you were pissed about it, my grandmother used to say it's better to be pissed off than pissed on, if you know what I'm saying.
If
So
my
when
child not mine, I want a divorce.
And you just bluntly said, the real issue when we come into this courtroom is whether or not Ariana is the biological child of the two of you. But Mrs. Fletcher says this is not the first time
Because I
you
had
doubted
also-
her.
Yes, but I'm 100% sure that my child is his.
We're going to get there, no question whatsoever. Mr. Fletcher, why don't you take me back to a happier time, when you first met, and then lead me to what brought us to divorce court today.
We basically grew up together. We grew up. We've been together since we was 18.
Okay.
So.
And you're pretty much the same age.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there was some happier times. Tell me how you met, because you grew up together. You've been dating since you were young people. When did you first make it, shall we say, a committed relationship?
Well, back when 2013.
Wow, that is quite some time.
We got together in 2013. She just needed a shoulder to cry on, and I was there for her. And it ended up getting deeper than that. And I just wanted to be there for her, and we ended up getting serious.
And you all have Mrs. Fletcher had a child from a previous relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you accepting of that child?
Yes.
And you started basically stepping in and becoming the father figure.
As I should.
And
This man is not innocent.
I beg your pardon?
This man is not innocent.
Uh-oh, you interrupted me, so that means you have something to say, Mrs. Fletcher?
Yes, he asked me to marry him before,
And she told me in front of everybody.
I did not accept it.
Wait, hold up.
No, she didn't. She embarrassed me.
How old were you when he first proposed?
I was 19 years old.
And you had already had one child previously. Had you all started having children together?
Yes.
Yes, we had one child together at that time.
And so you still turned him down?
Yes, I did.
Why'd you turn him down?
The financial situation was not right for me. He tried to marry me in my low-income apartment.
Yeah,
And I didn't accept
she told me
that.
in
I didn't
front of
want to
everybody,
remember.
my mom, her mom,
I didn't want to remember
all that.
my marriage being in the projects. Like, oh, where did you get married? Oh, I got married in
Well,
the
I had
projects.
to start somewhere. I mean, she ain't want to. You know what I'm saying? I even bought her flowers. I ain't gonna lie. Me as a man, I shouldn't have disrespected her. I actually.
Flowers
cussed
don't
her
cover
out.
up disrespect.
Yeah, I cussed her out, and I tried to come back.
Wait, you cussed her out? How does a proposal go from flowers and will you marry me to I cussed her out?
I tried to go out the back door.
Oh, you were running from the proposal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard of the runaway bride, but the runaway fiance is a little bit deep. Interestingly enough, Mrs. Fletcher, you said you didn't want to have a project marriage.
No, ma'am.
Did you know the judge grew up in the housing project? I just want to let you know. See, the difference is the project didn't grow up in me. That's the difference. So as long as you have aspirations, hopes, dreams to do something else, you can do anything. And it don't matter where you start out, baby. It matters where you finish up. So that right there, I want you to get in the back of your head. It's time for you to step it up and take your family out of that project. So think of it as a goal.
That's what I want him to do, is to get to do better and show me he could do better as a man in our family.
But it says something that y'all came back and ended up getting married somehow, Mr. Fletcher.
Yeah, yes. Well, we separated in 2020. We got married after the third child. Then we ended up separating in 2020 because of her meddling ex.
But he's not innocent.
He always popping up in the pictures.
But wait a
He's
minute,
like,
Mr. Fletcher, I'm gonna get to that because I need to get back and set the stage a little bit. Mrs. Fletcher, now Mrs. Fletcher, because you are married, you decided you were going to have another baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you decided not to get married.
Right.
So you were comfortable enough to be a baby mama, but you weren't secure enough to be a wife.
Right.
Talk to me about your mindset.
That wasn't the case. I do love him dearly.
Okay.
But it was just like we weren't in the right mindset, neither one of us.
Well, I actually appreciate that because marriage is hard work and you want to try to do it right.
Because financially, we weren't doing good. Mm-hmm. Financially, emotionally, physically, it can go on for, I can go on for days about it. It wasn't right at the moment. And he also knew it wasn't right. That was like another cover up, like with the flowers and the wine. Like, oh, well, I'm gonna give her this ring and I'll make everything better. It doesn't make everything better.
So you're telling me there were some other issues in the relationship that led you to say, this is not the time for me to marry him.
Yes, Your Honor.
But I'm gonna go on over here back to Mr. Fletcher because, Mr. Fletcher, you say a lot of this started around 2020, or I should say came to a head in 2020. That's when the pandemic started, but something else happened in your relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
He wanted to
well,
do his own thing?
No, she was doing her own thing.
Okay, we
And
think
her-
both of y'all were doing your own thing because you're
yes,
actually
ma'am. I ain't gonna lie,
separated.
Yeah, we separated. We was both doing our own thing, but she just got this ex that just keep on popping up and popping up. Like,
Is that her baby's father?
yes.
Okay.
ma'am. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of it. If she don't want to nip that in the bud and get it out the way, I want a divorce. I want to sign these papers.
Okay, Mr. Fletcher, before we get to signing the papers, tell me what the ex does that ticks you off so much.
He calls her to make like, you want to fight somebody for me? He calls, and then you know what I'm saying? She getting suited and booted for.
Your Honor, I've never went and fought anybody
she
for
never did
anyone,
it for
never.
me. She wouldn't do it for me.
Never. I'm
Like,
not
you know
even
what
that
I'm
type
saying?
of person.
I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why you want to risk everything we got going on for them over there? You need to be over here, not over there.
So I want to understand
You
what
got your own
this
skeleton.
argument was about. Mrs. Fletcher, what is the suited and booted and fighting for your ex and some other situation? Explain to me what happened.
Well, that's not true. Like, Your Honor, he would call me and say little comments like...
Your ex would?
Yes, he
Yeah,
would.
he always calling my phone too,
He
trying to
would
get
call
some stuff
me and
started.
ask me to address certain things with certain women he was dealing with at the time. I would never address the situation.
But why is she even conversating with this man about
I,
anything he got
only
going on
thing I
over there? He
conversate
married
with
to me.
with my ex about is our child.
So, Mrs. Fletcher, why didn't you put some boundaries in place with your ex-man? Do you?
I have, Your Honor, and it did not work. I had to really like block completely out of my life.
And that's very hard to do because with a small child, you do have to make sure there is a relationship should that father and that child want the
ex that called my
relationship.
phone and said he been in my house before. He know
Excuse
my work
me?
schedule. He know all
That's
of that.
not true.
Yes,
That's
it
not
is.
true.
Yes,
Wait
it
one
is.
second. I want to hear what Mr. Fletcher said. You said the ex
Yeah, he
told
called-
you?
Yes, he texted my phone. He texted my phone and said that he knows my time. He called me on the phone and said, "You go to work. How does this man know my specific time I go to work and when I come home? He should know nothing that's going on in my household."
Well, you know what? I'm not going to put that on Mrs. Fletcher. He
It may
might
have
be a
came up in
stalker.
a conversation before, like on the phone, maybe. Like, okay, maybe he's at work, and he got a time frame from that. But I've never just said, "Oh, my husband's at work. Come over." I've never had a man come over my house while my husband was gone ever.
So, Mrs. Fletcher, here's my question. Why are you engaging in personal conversations that are irrelevant to the care of your child with your ex-man?
That's
Now,
what I
I'm
wanna
not
know.
going to judge you right now, but I would like to hear an explanation because my ex don't have nothing to say to me and I don't have nothing to say to him.
Thank you.
So I just want to know why you need to be having conversations outside
Well,
of what you need to do with your
He talks
child.
to the ex more than I do. So
Well, she
I
feel
really
like
don't-
that, but he calls
I
my
don't
phone
conversate with him
telling
at
me
all.
all type of stuff.
No. He conversates with this man more than I do.
That sounds a little complicated.
It is very complicated.
And I can understand why
but
it
he's not
annoys
the
you.
only person. He's not the only person.
Well, wait a minute. Excuse me?
He's
If
not
he
the only
if
person.
he block if he
Listen,
blocks this
she
man
wants
out of
to-
our
Another
life,
time,
it'll
please.
I want to be
help.
able to hear what the allegation is. Mr. Fletcher?
Okay, so she wants to go through my phone. So I'm like, you want to go through phones? I'm going to go through your phone. I get on her phone. Everything she's looking through on my phone for in my phone, I'm seeing in her phone. Like I said, I seen this guy in her inbox. They were supposed to supposedly link up. And you know what I'm saying? So I called the dude.
Wait, I don't know what you're saying. Excuse me. When you say they supposed to link up, you mean she's talking to a third man, not the ex,
Not the ex.
about connecting.
Yes.
What specifically did you see?
He said when I'm gonna see you, and all this, and she was like, it's gonna be soon.
So you
So I
saw
called
an
him.
actual
I
back
called
and
him, yeah.
forth.
I've never went and met up with
I
anybody.
called him.
Excuse me, Mrs. Fletcher.
I-
Question. I want you to listen to my question.
Yes, ma'am.
There are lots of people that slide into folk DMs.
Right.
I want to know, was it a one-way conversation, meaning this person asked her a question, or was it a
She
two-way where she
responding.
responded?
She was responding.
And she was responding in a manner
Yes,
that
ma'am.
made you think that they had been talking
for a minute,
and
yeah.
or making arrangements to meet.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what did you do?
I called the man. He said, I didn't know she had a husband. I didn't know she had a husband. But he's like, it's crazy how women do men these days. I didn't know that, but I'm gonna be respectful and leave her alone.
You had an actual conversation
With this man.
with
like,
the...
Yeah, he sits on the phone and have a
Nah,
conversation. and-
Wait, Miss Fletcher, you don't have nothing to say right this minute until I can figure this out. You had a conversation with the potential side man. Is
Yeah,
that
I
correct?
ain't want to feel like no simp, but I just had to stand up for my marriage. I had to call this man.
Okay, so tag you're it, Miss Fletcher. Why would this man have the ability to put your husband in an embarrassing situation knowing that he had something on you, and what he had on you was at least you were low-key sneaky, if not full-on sneaky?
Your Honor, it was nothing serious. It was like more for a little bit of attention, some attention that I was not receiving from him. So I did conversate and start talking to somebody else, but I was never gonna seriously meet anybody or be with anybody else.
But Mrs. Fletcher, you do understand you are a married woman.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I know that everybody thinks that this sliding in the DMs and hitting people up on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media form you use, TikTok, etc., Snapchats and what have you, is cool. But when you're a married woman, that's cheating. Because what you're doing is you're making yourself emotionally available to somebody else. And once you make yourself emotionally available to somebody else, that is stealing from the marriage that you are supposed to be invested in.
And all of that led up.
But he made me feel bad. I would have never even tried
because
to
I've been dealing
conversate
with
with
the
anybody
same person
else.
for years. I've been dealing.
I
with
just want more. I want
all of this
I want
drama.
better. I want him to do better in our marriage. I want him to really try to put forward some effort towards our marriage.
But wait a minute, I need to understand why you were, no question whatsoever, having some sort of emotional affair, if nothing else, with somebody online. So I'd like to hear from your perspective. What were you missing in your marriage that you decided you would seek it elsewhere?
I needed some attention. He doesn't show me any attention. Like, it's all about like, okay, I was texting somebody, but he was also texting somebody. So like, I didn't know if he still wanted to be with me either at the time. I didn't know if this was what he wanted either, because I've seen things too. He's not innocent at all.
But why turn to another man?
That's the only thing that I felt like I could do. Like, I'm not sure, like.
You could have came to me. We could have talked it out.
I tried.
But wait a minute,
I feel
Mrs.
like you didn't
Fletcher,
try hard enough.
this seems very nonchalant. You're a married woman. You could have called a family member, a sister, a cousin, your road
Anybody.
dog. Who do you hang with? Or you could have done the mature thing, which is talk to your husband. You could have also said, we need counseling. Is there a pastor or a therapist or something? I'm feeling lonely. I need attention in this marriage.
He also believes everything everybody else says.
Because how can I trust somebody that didn't turn
Well,
their back
I
on me
can
before?
legitimately tell you that the trust was broken. And a marriage that is not built on trust is not a marriage whatsoever. The trust was broken. So we can start right there on why your husband is paranoid, suspicious, and maybe insecure about where you go, what you do, and who you talk to, because he has reason to believe that. There is no reason for a man to think that his wife is acting skanky unless he sees skanky behavior. That's just the truth.
Your Honor, but he's not innocent. He does his part too.
Hey, I know I'm
He
not
does his
innocent
thing.
though. I'm man enough to man up where I was.
So are you both dipping into other folks' DMs and
I mean,
both
Yes.
dipping and
At the
dodging in
time- at the
relationships?
Yes, Your
time,
Honor.
Yes, but now we're just working on everything.
So am I supposed to believe during this whole separation time, you all were just in and out of each other's lives?
Yes.
So then that was not a true marriage. Y'all were not
we
acting like married
We
people.
were separated about 5 months.
And then,
She left me with my younger kids, and she took the oldest baby, and she left for a minute.
and how long was she gone?
She was gone for like 5 months. I seen her after like 4 months. She wanted to see the kids, so I brought the kids to see her.
Where?
We met at my dad's, so we sit there and had a conversation.
So a neutral place.
Yes, and then we talked it out like adults, and then we started, you know what I'm saying, trying to ease our way back into being back together.
Yes, because I was living with a family member to keep the toxic behavior away from our children, so they didn't witness any
We
of
was
that
back
stuff
and
going
forth
on.
out of hotels.
So you would go to a hotel?
Yes.
And would y'all hook up during that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we would have sneaky links every couple couple times a week actually, and that's how I end up
Between June and July.
conceiving and getting pregnant.
Wait, she called it sneaky links. You married, it's not sneaky.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, once you get
Then-
married, you don't have to sneak.
It's all legit.
But
You
I
can
was-
legitimately go to the hotel. You could completely
doing it.
tongue kiss
We had
him
a house,
down
though. That
in
was
the
crazy.
hotel
We
lobby.
didn't even have to get a
You don't
hotel.
owe nothing
we were
to nobody
separated,
else.
so
Yeah,
I
we
don't
didn't even
know.
have to get a
I
hotel.
was
We had a
sneaking.
house.
I was living with a family member though.
And I was staying at the house by myself with
So
the
the
kids.
only way we could go sneak together was at a hotel.
You could sneak back to your crib
Yeah, this
where
is-
your regular bed is.
in the middle of this, why
With
we
your
doing all
regular,
this?
you know what, and you can go to your own bathroom where your own toiletries are, and you can bathe, and you can shower, and you can get your own clothes because you're married.
Right.
You didn't have to sneak. So it seems as if anybody who has a sneak may have a little something on the side that they trying to either keep
Right.
the ball in the air or trying to keep the sneak away from. You don't have to sneak. I'm trying to figure out why we
Wow.
were sneaking.
And then she come home pregnant.
Oh, and
So-
this is when that happened.
Yes, then she come home pregnant. So I'm like, I ain't think nothing of it. I raised my baby from the beginning to now. I ain't had no doubts until a month ago when it popped up. So my family member called me and was like, did you see what's on Facebook? My daughter,
Again with the social media.
look, my daughter side by side with another woman's baby, saying that, Stephanie, when you gonna get a DNA test on this baby? So
Ooh, Lord.
therefore, we've been doing good until a month ago. And when this popped up, so
I need to go over to Mrs. Fletcher.
I submitted it to the court too as well.
I'm going to look at your evidence. Mrs. Fletcher, help me with this timeline because I have been in this situation as a judge where I have looked the woman in the face and I say, there's only one way that you can be for sure that this baby belongs to your husband, is that you were not sleeping with anybody else. So you know the timeline. You know where you was dipping, dodging, sneaky link.
Yes.
You
and
know
I got
all of
pregnant
that.
in September. Well, I found out I was pregnant in September, but I hadn't slept with anyone else since June of 2020. So that was, there's no other way I could have possibly got pregnant by anybody else.
Walk me through the timeline. So you all have been separated. You started linking up again in June, July?
In July.
You started linking up in July.
Yes, in July.
And according to you, the last time you had relations with somebody other than your husband was when?
June.
Okay, and so in July and August and September, the only person that you were intimate with was your husband. Is that
So
correct?
she
Yes,
say.
Your Honor.
So she say.
I'm asking direct questions because there's one way to know.
Right.
And Mrs. Fletcher knows, like I said, the only one way to know for certain is if you were not.
I'm 100% positive. I know who I was sleeping with.
I also got messages from another man saying that I came to his house knocking on his door while she was butt naked in his house. sleeping
Which is
with
not
him.
true at all.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
So wait, you did not go to this gentleman's house?
I did not go to this man's house.
But,
And
but
is
the
this
man,
the same original ex?
Yes.
he won't let go. He won't let go.
So clearly, this is a man who is living rent-free in your marriage.
Basically.
Okay? And you have to put some complete boundaries in place. Mr. Fletcher, that's the one time I'm going to tell you, that's when you step up and become that man. That's when you specifically say what's not going to happen is you living rent-free in my head. You're going to have to put some boundaries in place there. But now I'm curious. Now at least I hear Mrs. Fletcher's version of the timeline, but there is no question. I understand where your paranoia and your doubt comes in.
Yeah. The Facebook post. The Facebook.
So I want to see this because actually I want to put it up so that I can see it on evidence, if you don't mind. Okay. Okay, just one second. Let me put this up. I want to make sure that I can see. And just for my jury, I apologize. I have blurred out the photograph of the innocent child. All the babies are innocent because I don't want to invade her privacy or her family's privacy.
And this got me mad.
But I'm not gonna lie. These babies do look very familiar, like
Yeah.
they could be siblings.
Very.
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
don't think so. There's no way. There's no way possible. Time
So-
don't add up.
Mrs. Fletcher, why is this person causing issues in your relationship?
She's miserable. She's mad that she got left with my leftovers, and she's not happy in her own relationship or her own life, so she wants to make mine miserable like hers.
So this person who posted this had some overlap with you in an ex relationship. Is that what it is?
Yes.
And so she's causing problems in your relationship, or at least trying to.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that there's no reason for her to be doing that other than just spiteful and being mean.
Yeah, she's very spiteful, and I wish they would just leave me and my marriage alone.
But you've seen this picture, right? Robert, do me a favor, because I don't want to be biased.
They look just alike.
Wow.
Especially this one right here, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, from the eyes to the nose to the whole
They're
situation.
cute, but they look
They're
like
beautiful.
siblings.
They do look. So I at least know why your man, your husband, is feeling some kind of way.
The eyes, the nose, all that.
And here's my question. This second child, is that with the person that your wife used to have dealings with?
Yes.
So this woman had a child with this man, we're gonna call him Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
And she is now saying that Mrs. Fletcher's baby, Ariana,
Look just like her son.
looks like her son and that they could be siblings. And when you gonna get a DNA test to prove one way or the other?
Yes, Your Honor.
That is messy as can be.
It is, and
It
it's
is.
not true.
Well,
Well, if she not
But I'm
mine,
tired.
I
This
want a
is the second
divorce.
time that I've been.
you keep saying that. Tell me about this the second time. I never heard of such.
I did DNA before with one of our other children, and
Which is my
I
second
proved him wrong before. He's told me the same thing. Oh, that's not my child, and I had to do the same thing, and this is embarrassing. I'm going through this again.
So, Ms. Fletcher, I think probably the reason is your husband doesn't trust you because there's been untrustworthiness in this relationship. And I think you would agree with that both of you have not been the most trustworthy people.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Fletcher knows for certain that there was at least a gentleman involved
Yes.
in and around the time. You say not close enough. Mr. Fletcher says, I can't say for certain. Is that fair to say,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Fletcher?
Yes, Your Honor.
We're going to see what the results are.
Yes, ma'am.
But, sir, I'm trying to figure out, other than this DNA story, do y'all have anything else in common? Are there any other things that we need to deal with? Because
No, this is
the
it.
marriage
Yeah.
has to be able to be on solid ground.
If the DNA come back that this is my child, I'm willing to go above and beyond for my family and my wife.
But I'm tired of being doubted. So, like, how am I supposed to keep moving forward when I'm always doubted?
So I think really what the issue is trust and respect.
Yes, ma'am.
Most definitely.
Because the two of you have really diminished the trust in the relationship because you've been disrespectful.
Yeah, I felt unappreciated. I bought her a car, and with a bow and everything for her birthday. She's like, I could buy my own car. I could do all this. I'm like, I won't buy you nothing else.
Okay,
Because-
Ms. Fletcher, what's that about? If your husband, you say you feel unappreciated and you don't get the attention, the man buying you a car, what is it that you want from him that he's not doing? So that I can at least know if there's anything to build a foundation on, depending on the DNA test.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like him to put in more effort towards our family. Like, we're supposed to be building, and I feel like ever since this DNA thing came into effect, it's like it's put in a toll on our marriage, and it's not. We can't progress at all.
Because we actually
haven't
better,
moved.
but
Can't move forward.
How can I move forward when something just pops up about my child on Facebook? I mean, I don't.
So you're saying that over the course of the last few months when you all got back together, everything
Right.
was fine.
Everything's fine. We working good on each other. We doing good.
But this Facebook post is what, since you left.
Yeah.
Robert, can we get the DNA results?
Sure.
Thank you. So that I'm clear of the family dynamic, you have an older child that Mr. Fletcher has, for all practical purposes, adopted and has been helping to raise. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you have 2 other children
And one on the way.
and 1 on the way.
Yes, Your Honor.
Clearly, you trust her enough to continue to get her pregnant because y'all just be getting it together. What do you call that? Sneaky link.
Sneaky leaky.
I got my divorce papers if she not my child.
Really?
Yes.
But you are already 3 kids in for all practical purposes. I'm looking at a family.
I mean, it is what it is.
We've had 2 more children after that child.
So you know that these other children are yours. You know that your wife is pregnant, and you are dependent on the contents of this envelope.
Yes.
So now, is this gonna happen again? Am I gonna see you again
No.
once you get another baby on the way? Because she's
hope
pregnant right now. Am I gonna have to?
This is the last time, Your Honor, I'm having the doctor
I
take
can't
the
get
tubes
I
out.
can't get a DNA test for every child she have after this.
I'm done. With
So you don't have trust at all.
Not right now, at this point.
And that's hard to live with.
This
How
my
is
life.
she supposed to build up the trust again?
Just that right there.
Really?
She tell me that's the truth. That's the truth. This not my side chick. This my wife.
I heard you. What did you just say?
I said this not my side chick. This my wife.
And you have a different level of expectation about your wife.
Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to 2-year-old
Ariana.
When it comes to 2-year-old Ariana Fletcher, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Fletcher, you are indeed her father,
Thank you. Oof.
with a probability of paternity of 99.96% with no other probabilities.
I told him,
Thank you.
no,
I'm happy.
ain't no thank you. I want to cry because I've been going through a lot over
never
this
doubted-
test.
I never-
Excuse me, you don't get to say anything right now. Go ahead.
I've been going through a lot over this test. I'm happy that it's over. But now we got to build from scratch again. We got to start all the way over again.
It's interesting because you say you're happy that it's over. This is over. I can hand this to you, and this issue is resolved. But
That
the
was a
issues
major-
that got us here
It's a major issue in our marriage.
is not resolved. There are other issues within your marriage. You all need to learn how to communicate.
Yes, ma'am.
You also need to learn that marriage is something that you're going to need to do together.
Yes.
And when it gets tough, you can't cut and run and go to a family member's house and just hit it a couple times a week because that's convenient and you miss your husband's arms.
It's fun.
I understand it's fun. I understand you clearly are compatible in that way
Yeah.
Yeah.
because what are you, 4 kids in for all practical purposes?
Going
Y'all
on
know how
6.
to make babies. The only interesting part about it is you can make babies, but can you make a family?
Right.
Because I'm not seeing a family being made. I'm not seeing a mature family being made. I'm not seeing trust being put into the ground of a marriage. You know, that's the foundation. That's in the soil that trust has to go in. You all are going to need to learn how to trust again. And the only way you're going to do it is you have to have a willingness to work on the relationship. I actually looked at how you can rebuild the trust. You have to have a willingness to work on the relationship. Are you willing, Mrs. Fletcher?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
What do I do with these divorce papers?
You sitting here, you tapping on those papers in your hand.
Yeah.
You brought divorce papers here. So that told me that unless you got the results you were interested in, you were not willing to work on the relationship. What about now?
I'm ready. I'm ready to work on my relationship with my wife and raise my kids the right way.
So one of the other elements is that you have to reflect on the experience that brought down the trust. You have to be honest
Yes.
and forthcoming with what was going on in your relationship and why your wife felt the need to seek attention from other
Another man.
people.
Yes.
You have to reflect on that experience. You have to openly apologize to each other.
I'm sorry for putting you through that.
I'm sorry as well.
I haven't seen you smile yet. I know this is painful.
It is.
Anytime you work out your relationship in front of a whole bunch of people, it becomes painful. Because the next thing on my list is you have to create new memories.
Yes.
And all of that fun that you all have with the sneaky links, let's translate that into doing some things for the family. I'd like to help you with that. One of the things that I get to do is ask some of the people who I work with, people who are licensed therapists and experts, who can teach young couples how to communicate
Yes, ma'am.
and how to be married. Not in theory, but in fact. Because, you know, when you get married, the pastor or the judge, somebody's going to say in good times and in bad, do you take this man, do you take this woman? And this was a bad time. And that's when you're supposed to dig deep. And I need to know, do you have the ability to create new memories together? Mrs. Fletcher?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Fletcher?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to give you that marriage counseling because you're going to need somebody else to help you take the first step towards rebuilding your trust. That's what you need. I am so glad.
I'm ready to take the step.
Me too, as well.
I need to see the two of you walk out. By the way, may I have those papers? My courtroom, my papers, ain't gonna be no divorce. Not up in here.
All right, good job. Follow me, please. Copy that.
Him,
Right, this way.
both of us.
Hey, so can the members of the jury hear me? Can you all hear me? Yes, how are you? Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us for court
Great.
today. We appreciate it. I know a couple of you have been here before, so welcome back, as I like to say. We love that. I hope you out there enjoyed this very real episode of Divorce Court. You know, we deal with all kind of cases that come through Divorce Court
All the time.
on a regular basis, and the ones that give me agita are these DNA cases, you know?
That's scary, scary, scary.
Because I don't know until I really do read the results. And it's purposeful because I don't want to come in biased. And I think if I knew the results, I'd be biased when I would be questioning the litigants. Right. So I want to really get to the bottom line of what the relationship issues are so that we can see if anything can be salvageable regardless of what comes out of that document.
I tell you what, I like it when it's just a great outcome, you know?
Yeah, so I think, Robert, that the litigants, you know, while we prepare for our chat, because this is like my chambers, right?
Right.
The litigants usually walk out, so we get an idea of whether or
I'm
not
sorry, man.
they are together, not together.
Get it.
I think this couple has decided that they're going to try to take this journey together. It's so interesting how she
Glad
wants
everything
him
worked
I am too.
to step up
I'm about to go home and build this up.
and be who she thinks
Yeah.
he should have. I'm going to save that for the chat. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Justin, we ready?
Seconds of waste. You still on, Star? Just so you know, you still on.
Excellent. So, excellent. So I'm glad that we're online. You got an opportunity to see some of the behind the scenes. What you didn't see is in the beginning, I usually sit with my executive producers and my producers to go over what the case is. Now, mind you, I've already prepared the cases. I look and see what resources I might need, what experts I might need to call in. I was actually up till about 1:30 in the morning working on the cases for today because I take them that seriously. I actually treat each and every one of them like they're my cases. And so after we finish a case, every time, Robert and I have the opportunity to reflect on the case, which we're about to go. Justin, tell me when you're ready.
All right, here we go. Come to you. Everyone get settled, please. In 3, 2.
Well, Robert, I'm so glad this DNA result came back the right way.
Absolutely. You know what? What's so strange is with these marriages, with these young people, is that something goes wrong, they go their separate ways, and they act like they were never married.
And this on-break baby phenomenon is not going to work, and make for a real marriage.
Nope. Especially all these scares.
And this man had a reason to be paranoid. But it's interesting. She has a list in her head
Right.
of what she wants her marriage to look like. It's time for her to start trying to match that list, if you know what I
Absolutely.
mean. Hey. And we're done. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, interestingly enough, we have more shows to do because what you don't know is I do one after the other after the other. You just got in on how the sausage is made on one of the shows. And I want to thank you for watching our very first Divorce Court live taping. We are so happy that you joined us to see how the magic is made. So keep an eye out for this episode to air during our new season, season 25
Let's go.
of Divorce Court.
Let's get it.
See you in the courtroom.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Lady, I adore you. Got to let you go to ever get you back. Why, lady, why is it so hard? Why the push and pull, push and pull, yeah. Push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, yeah. Push and pull. Push and pull, yeah. Push and pull. Yeah, lady, I adore you. Gotta let you go and put you back. Why, lady, why is it so hard? Gotta push and pull, push and pull. Maybe I'm crazy, but now I found you. Now I'm so damn crazy about you. Love keeps me stupid, keeps me alive. Yeah, I like the pain, the feel of fire. Now I know it's hard,